This is 2021's Silent Night. Warning, spoilers ahead. We open up to a house in the countryside, and we meet Nell as she applies makeup in her room. Chickens can be heard outside, but she's focused on her lipstick. When she's done, she looks at a family Christmas picture she keeps on her vanity, and she turns up the radio as kids start yelling downstairs. Bella and Alex drive out to the house, and Bella can't stand the Christmassy song that Alex has put on. Bella can't believe that they're heading out to the house to spend yet another Christmas with everyone, but Alex assures her that it'll be worth it to spend some quality time together. Back at the house, Nell puts the finishing touches on some of the guest rooms. Next, we meet Sandra, as she rides out to the house with Tony, and they've got their daughter in the back seat. That group might be the hardest part of the movie so far. It's pretty bad when we've only just started, and I'm already claiming that certain characters are going to fill those shoes. In another car, James assures Sophie that Nell adores her, but she points out that last year she got stuck at the kids' table. It seems as though quite a few of the guests that are coming out don't want to go, but everyone seems to feel like family in their own way. Back at the house, Art continues chopping vegetables in the kitchen, but he ends up cutting his finger really badly when Simon tosses a chicken at the window from outside. Art calls out to Nell for help, and she heads downstairs to take care of it, but she quickly turns her attention to the food, as she's worried she won't have enough. Just then, Simon comes inside, and Art reminds him that he's to be the one to set off the fireworks later that evening. Art heads outside to try and set the chickens free, and Simon goes upstairs to make sure that the twins take a bath. Suddenly, a car honks outside, and Simon heads downstairs to greet the guests. Nell greets Kitty, who brought flowers, and she greets Sandra next. When Sandra finds out that Nell forgot the sticky toffee pudding, she sends Tony down to the corner store to break in and get some. I've never had sticky toffee pudding before. Is it worth breaking and entering, trespassing and stealing? If so, send me the recipe. Kitty makes her way around the house looking for Art, and at the same time, Bella and Alex arrive as well. Nell greets everyone at the door, and Bella asks if Kitty has been put down yet. Nell reminds her that tonight is about forgiveness, and she turns her attention to Alex. Upstairs, Art discovers Kitty spying on the twins as they get dressed, and downstairs, Bella grabs a carrot to eat. After handling some drama between Kitty and Art, there's a mention of a woman named Lizzie being invited. But suddenly, Sandra admits that she didn't invite her. Bella admits that she never liked her, but she would have put up with her to make sure she wasn't alone at this trying time. Suddenly, James and Sophie arrive, but Sophie stays in the car for a moment before getting out. Sandra pops up to greet the couple, but her greeting for James is rather passionate. Finally, Tony and Simon show up with the sticky toffee pudding, and it's just store-bought stuff. Maybe it's just an England thing. Back inside, James and Sophie are arguing in the hallway, while the rest of the house eavesdrops from the kitchen. Of course, Art pops up and interrupts the conversation, but Sophie seems to think that James should have told them about a secret. Meanwhile, the twins are dressed and downstairs to set the table with Art and Kitty. At dinner, the food seems to be rationed between everyone, and Simon takes a moment to say grace. As he tries to continue, it ends up being Nell and the others that have to continue on. But Nell starts to come to tears before the end. As everyone eats, there seems to be a dread about the guests, and we find out that the Queen is actually bunkered up somewhere. Suddenly, Kitty makes a comment that doesn't sit well with Sophie, and an argument opens up between multiple guests. This really is a great reminder as to why holidays can be such a strain at times. All of these people force themselves to be with each other at Christmas because of tradition, and that's literally the only thing keeping them together. Nell begs everyone not to fight, but Sophie opens up about the bad night she had the night before. She opens up about how she wishes she could have only been there for certain people as they enjoy their final moments, but Simon cuts her confession short to toast Nell for the wonderful meal. The mood immediately turns around, but Sophie puts her last word in. Sure enough, Art informs everyone what he saw on the news, and we find out that the world is actually retaliating for everyone taking it for granted. In the morning, it will release gas all over to take out the remaining human population. Well, that's a terrifying way to spend Christmas. I can't believe this hasn't been a doomsday theory like 2012 was yet. After the meal, Art heads to his room to read about the suicide pill that the government has issued everyone, and the plan for the evening is clear. They plan to use the pill so that they don't suffer from the noxious gases. Later, Nell and Sandra sit all of the kids down to make sure they understand that all of this is not their fault. Isn't that what the baby boomers said about global warming? What are the millennials going to have to say that about when they get older? That apology is cut short when the timer goes off for the sticky toffee pudding, and festivities continue as though nothing's changed. Everyone plays a wild game of charades, and Simon heads to the greenhouse with the guys to smoke some weed that they snatched from a hospital on their way over. Suddenly, James admits that Sophie is pregnant, and he tells them that Sophie and himself aren't sure if they want to take their pills now. Simon warns James that they have to keep this to themselves, and James swears that he understands. During the present opening, Art finally breaks, and he lets Kitty and Sandra know what he really thinks about their stupid Christmas. After he runs upstairs, he sits and waits for Simon to come up and talk to him about what's going on in the world. When he finds out that there are homeless people and illegal immigrants that weren't given the pill, he just can't understand the system. Someone needs to make Art Prime Minister of the apocalypse and start over with a better world. He's got the right idea. Too bad he won't be around to lead it. Everyone goes outside for fireworks and sparklers, and as the night goes on, everyone seems to be trying to live their best life on their final night. Yet, changes are noticed. The water starts to come out brown and smells toxic, and Kitty is raiding the pantry of all sweets. The adults gather in the sitting room to reminisce over their high school times, but suddenly, Sandra gets her feelings hurt when she finds out that James and Simon didn't want her growing up. Eventually, James tries to put Sandra in her place, but this turns out to be a big reveal session of how Sandra was with a teacher and Bella slept with Tony in high school. It's a mess. Meanwhile, Art sits in the other room, and he watches more public service announcements about what's to come. Suddenly, Sophie comes in to check on him, but Simon interrupts so that they can call Art's grandmother. Can't decide what I would do in this situation. Would you take the pill or would you try and ride out the toxic apocalypse? Out in the hallway, Sandra comes to the realization that they're about to die, and she starts to question whether she believes the government about what they say. Bella assures her that this is the only option, and in the bedroom, Simon and the rest of his family gather on the bed to call their grandmother. Nell leaves the room after hearing about how her father is up in heaven waiting for her, and grandmother leaves the call to look out the window to the storm coming to her. Art has trouble coping with the fact that he didn't get to say goodbye to her, and we watch as grandmother takes her pill with a glass of wine as she watches the cloud take over the city. Alright, after seeing that, I'd probably take the pill if I didn't have an emergency bunker that I could survive in for at least another 10 years. Or does anyone know how long the gas will be there? Maybe it's just blowing over. I'd need a whole lot more answered before I accepted anything though. Art heads to his room to look at pictures of him with Grandma, and he heads into the other room to talk to James and Sophie. He tells James that he's not going to take the pill, but James tries to convince him that taking the pill is the best option. He starts to go get Simon and Nell, but Sophie convinces him to hear Art out. Art mentions that someone somewhere might have been able to survive the gas, but James has had enough of Art trying to rationalize dying. James heads down to the sitting room to find everyone else drinking and dancing, and he decides to simply join them instead of dealing with Art's questions. Meanwhile, Sophie tries to talk with Art, and he tells her that he doesn't think everyone should just give up like they're planning to. I can definitely see Art's side of things here, but I'd also be downstairs partying like it's 1999 if I knew that death was coming like that. Back upstairs, Sophie tells Art that she's not going to take the pill because she's pregnant, and when Nell pops up to bring Art downstairs, he tells her that he's not going to take his pill either, so he can hold Sophie's hand while she dies from the gas in time. Oh, that's very respectable, but probably the worst time to say something like that. Now we've got Simon and Nell telling Art that he's going to take his pill because they say so. Does this count as a murder since he doesn't want to take it? Art tries to convince Simon and Nell to not take their pill so they can help him after the cloud is gone, but Nell assures him that that's not an option. They have nowhere to run or hide. Nell tells Art that she can't let him or the twins suffer anymore, but Art doesn't see them as family if they plan to kill him. So he jumps out of the car and runs away. Just then, Nell can hear the storm making its way closer, and she calls out to Art to return. Eventually, Art finds the chicken that he set free earlier, and he runs into a car that's running on the side of the road. When he approaches it, toxic tornado cyclones blow through, and Simon can hear Art screaming out. When Simon gets to Art, he finds that the car is full of a dead family, and Simon tries to get Art back to the house. I think it's time to stop the party. How soon are they supposed to take their pills? Is it an immediate effect, or is it something they would have to take in advance? Either way, it might be time to take it if you're going through with the plan. Simon gets Art back to the house, and James checks on Simon while Sophie stays with Art. When Simon talks about what happened, he tells them about the family in the car. Sophie goes to get Nell, but she's still mad about telling Art about her plan. While Art is alone, he seems to go into shock and he has a seizure. When they hear a loud thud, Sophie goes back in to check on Art, but Nell stops her from interfering with her family. Nell opens the door to find Art sleeping away, but downstairs, the guys notice that tomorrow has come. James tells Simon that it's time, and James goes to get drinks for everyone to take their pills. He hands the cans of Coke to Tony and Simon, and he tells them to go be with their families. Well, this is utterly depressing. Merry Christmas, everyone! Everyone goes to their rooms to prepare for the deed, but the twins want their own cans, so Simon heads downstairs to get another can. When Bella goes to her room, she finds that Alex is passed out drunk, and she accepts that what has happened is already done. When the twins complain about the Coke being warm, Simon rushes back downstairs to get some ice so everyone can die in peace. Bella takes her pill on her own, and she tries to give Alex her pill. When James brings the pills out, He makes sure that Sophie is sure about not taking hers, and he tells her that if she doesn't take hers, he's not taking his. Meanwhile, the twins end up needing another Coke, so Simon makes yet another trip to the kitchen. Kitty also rushes downstairs to get her new doll, but Tony and Sandra can't feel their legs thanks to the pill. Just as Bella lays down in the bed to die next to Alex, Alex bursts up from her drunken slumber, and she rushes to the bathroom to vomit. Simon makes his way back up to the bedroom to finally give everyone their pill, but Art is already dead from the bit of gas that he inhaled. After seeing this, Simon and Nell quickly take their pills, and they make sure that the twins take theirs. Hey, that seemed rather quick, honestly. He didn't really even seem to be in pain either. When Alex comes out of the bathroom, Bella tells her that they've only got 5 minutes. When Kitty makes it back to her room with her doll, she finds her parents already dead on the bed, and she goes to the window to watch the storm roll in. Bella decides to spend her last 5 minutes with Alex dancing, but Alex doesn't seem to know what's going on. Meanwhile, James and Sophie look into each other's eyes as they give each other the pill, and they kiss one last time. While Bella dances, she decides to take care of Alex since she threw up the pill, and she takes a knife off the counter and stabs her. After telling her why she did it, Bella collapses to the ground with her, and they die together. Kitty lays down with her parents to reach her end, and Art's family spends their last breaths telling each other how much they love each other. Once everyone dies, the cloud rolls over the house. Hopefully I don't upload this on Christmas Day. This would be a depressing way to start the day off. In the morning it's snowing, and everyone's dead. Wait, not everyone. Suddenly, Art opens his eyes. Then, the credits roll. Hold on, what happened? My theory is that Art just so happened to be that statistical miracle that he talked to James about earlier. That's it. The magic of a Christmas miracle and weird science. Either way, give it a shot. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more like this one. Comment what you think I should watch next, and I'll see you in the next video.